What up, bros, and welcome to another Brograph Brocast. This is episode 12. I'm Dave Koss.
Is it 12? I thought it was 13.
12. It's
Episode 12. And I'm Matt Milstead.
And this week is going to be a good show, I think. We've got some good topics here. What we do on this show, this is a supplement to the Brograph.com tutorial website. This is just something we do on the side to kind of go with everything that we have on the site. And we talk about Cinema 4D, motion graphics, regular graphics, After Effects stuff, 3D animation, all that kind of fun stuff. And
basically anything and everything having to do with motion graphics, the video industry, and freelancing as a whole, I guess.
Yeah, we talk about business sides of things too, and hardware, software, the whole deal. So
business ethics.
So if you like this show, if you give this a try and you think you like it, give us a review on iTunes and let people know what you think, and tell your friends about it, because so far the show's doing pretty well, and we'd like to keep expanding.
Yes, absolutely. All right.
So busy week.
How was your week?
It was good. It was super, super busy. Like, it's a big blur, which is always good. Lots of billable hours.
That's good. That's always the best part.
Yeah.
Especially when you're working on your own.
Even today, got some good stuff built out today as well, and still managed to get the Christmas decor up. And
that's
so
good.
I'm fairly tired from it.
Yeah, we got our Christmas stuff up, which was cool. And then I also ran some cables in my house because, my birthday is this week, and so I bought myself an early birthday present of the Steam controller and the Steam Link, so that I can play. I'm not, stuck to my computer upstairs. I can actually run some Steam games down on my 60-inch TV, which is nice.
We've been playing Grand Theft Auto.
Yes, we have.
On PC this week a lot.
A lot.
And so you started a crew, huh?
Yes, I did.
A Brograph crew?
Brograph crew.
So far, it's just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
But you told me you just bought an apartment for us to hang out in, right?
Yeah, totally. Like, you and I were on, like, you were going to start some mission, and then I got stuck behind or something, and then all of a sudden it just started, like, raining money. And
that was weird.
It was awesome. I mean, I got $180,000 just for standing there. So I bought us an apartment.
That should be fun if anybody wants to check that. I don't know how in the world you find that crew.
I don't either.
To join it.
Yeah.
But if anybody's interested, I guess just email us, let us know, and we will.
We'll send you an invite to our GTA 5.
Yeah.
Crew.
We can hang out in the apartment and talk about motion graphics virtually.
That
and
would
then
be
go out
so
and
stupid.
rob hookers and kill them.
That would be so stupid.
A lot of people do that, man. They go hang out with their virtual friends in their virtual apartment. And
dude, this apartment is nice. I got to tell you what. I was telling my wife, I was like, dude, this apartment that I bought, it's better than our house.
I wonder if it's like the one I bought on the Xbox version, because I had like $1 million and I bought something real nice.
I don't know. It's got like 2 levels or something. Upstairs is like my living room and my kitchen and stuff, and downstairs is my bedroom and my closet.
You might have the same apartment.
It's pretty sweet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
And it's got a telescope so I can look into other people's apartments.
See, I have that too.
Yeah, it's probably the same apartment.
Yeah, it's probably the same one. Yeah, so hit us up and we'll hang out in GTA. And
in the few minutes that we actually get to play it.
Right. When we're not animating. Yeah, I've been animating all week, man.
Yep.
It's been crazy, and I've been trying to post some stuff online too, like even some, stills and stuff of what I'm doing, for the Reddit. What are you working on Thursdays?
Yeah,
and
you've also been doing a lot of the periscoping.
Been periscoping.
Speaking, I was
going to say, we should be periscoping right now. Why are we not doing that?
I have no idea.
I gotta say, man, I'm Imager. Imgur.
Imgur. I call it Imgur.
Whatever it's called.
Imgur.
It's infuriating. Like it's like there's some weird things about it that are just really, really difficult to figure out. And I like how to add stuff to an album, and then it says you can't add to the album because of this and that, and then
Are you doing it through mobile, or are you doing it online?
And no, I was doing it online.
I don't know.
But it was just like really, really difficult to navigate, and finally figured out permissions, and then that's why it wasn't working, but it wasn't telling me that. But very, very weird.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I didn't have too much of a problem creating a few albums that I've done, but I mostly like just take screenshots or, post screenshots or something.
Yeah, that's what I usually do, but it was really weird. But yeah, so you know what else is infuriating though is After Effects cache not clearing sometimes.
I had a lot of I've been using 2015, CC 2015, and I ran into this today. I was really excited when we went to NAB and we saw like the new upgrades and stuff where they were talking about like, here's it's supposed to work faster and be more efficient and blah blah blah. But then so I start working on it, and all I want to see is just a real time playing of my timeline, which I used to be able to do that in 2014 doing the RAM preview, but now it's like it will not play at a normal speed. I cannot get it to play at a normal speed.
Oh,
it sucks when I'm trying to time something out, and I'm just like, or make sure that the hits are hitting right on the beat and stuff like that. I'm just like, it doesn't work for me.
Not at all.
I literally have to render it out and watch it. Yeah, I can't get it to play real time.
Something's not right there. Maybe I can help you with that.
I don't know. Maybe. So what about the cache?
Like I had problems with the cache this week. Like you'll get on and start working on something, and then like you will change a source file, right? Like you'll go into I don't know, like you'll re-render something in Cinema, and then you'll go back to After Effects, and then in After Effects, like the frame that you were on that you were trying to fix was cached. Right, because you did like a RAM preview, and then you're like, oh well, this isn't updating, so you update the footage. You right click and you say reload footage, and you do that, and it doesn't change, and you're like, I know it's here, and you double click on it, and then you go into you're just viewing the layer by itself, like in its own window. And you can see it there, but then you go back to the composition and it's not showing up. So you're like, all right, let me go clear the image cache. So you go in, you clear the image cache. Nothing.
That's dumb.
You go in and you're like, clear all other caches and the whole thing, right? The memory, the RAM, all that stuff. You clear it all. And then on the timeline, there's still, like, it even will clear out a little bit, but there's still the little line saying that it's got something cached. And I'm like, I've cleared everything. I've cleared it all out, and it's still doing this. And you ran preview, and it still does. Like sometimes it just gets stuck where it just will not clear the cache. And it seems to me like it's been that way for a really long time. And I just don't understand like what do I have to do to fix that? Because the only thing I can do is completely close After Effects. And then open it back up and let everything load back up again on the plugins, and then open the file, and then
no one wants to do that.
And I don't want to do that every time that I want to clear something.
Yeah, it's when's the last time you updated? Because I think they just recently had an update.
Probably not since 2015 came out.
Yeah,
but
After Effects. Yeah, there was a 2015 update. Let's see. Oh boy. I just clicked on it and now it went away. But I think there was one like just this past week or something. But
it seems like this has been like a problem for years.
Yeah. Oh, son of a gun. I don't want to open After Effects. When you're running After Effects, because we've got our Monster Max and stuff. When you're running After Effects, do you have it run GPU or CPU?
I have it run GPU, but that only applies to 3D things that it's doing anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, I do, and it seems to help.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know if like I was thinking maybe that was my problem that I was running into. Like maybe I was getting the caching or the real time playback because it says something along the lines of not a supported GPU or something like that. I don't know.
I don't know.
It says GPU rendering or something. GPU not supported or something. I don't know. I don't want to open up After Effects again.
That's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been in there and I've been in like roto hell all week.
Yeah.
Which is another story. Trying to, do some, I think we might have touched on it last week. Joe was doing some motion tracking stuff for us. And
are you able to post that once it's done?
Rotos. Probably pieces of it. I don't know. The thing is, it's one of those things where I think we talked about last week as well, where sometimes you just, you're not happy with your end product, but it's no fault of your own.
Yeah, totally.
It's just that's the best you can do for what you've been given. So it's one of those things where I'm like, it's kind of a cool concept, but it was really, really difficult. And the tracking is there, and it works. It does the trick for what it is, but it's not award-winning or anything.
Yeah.
So
you never know. I've seen some of the things that the tallies have won.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you never know. So yeah.
Cool.
But long weekend, ready for Monday.
Yeah.
Which is nice, owning your own business. You're like, I'm ready for Monday, which is always cool.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Well, that's because, you get everyone out of the house and you get to just, be in your own zone and stuff like that, So, yeah, working for yourself is pretty awesome when you're at home. It's pretty cool. So,
but with After Effects and all that, I've been running all sorts of stuff and working on things simultaneously. Render something out and then go work on something else and have this other stuff running on the side and caching this and rendering in After Effects while rendering in Cinema. Whole deal.
Here's a question for you. You've got those so you built a small render farm. It was like 3 extra computers or something, wasn't it? 2 extra PCs and something. Do you use those anymore since you switched over to Octane and stuff?
No. In fact, when I got my 4K TV, which was almost a year ago, I took these 2 computers and I set them down here on the floor temporarily.
And you haven't hooked them back up? Oh, that's so funny.
I've had no reason to.
Well, why don't you use them as like After Effects render machines? Like you can send a project to them and then they'll render your After Effects stuff and it won't take up your resources on your regular machine.
Maybe, but I don't know how well they would render, honestly.
Yeah, well,
in comparison. Like, what are they, i5s or?
I thought they were i7s.
Or maybe they're i7s. I think they are i7s, but still, I don't know if it would be worth it. It'd probably be faster just to render locally and be done with it.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know.
So I don't know what I'm going to do with these things, honestly.
I'll take one of them.
I need to figure out, what I need to do is maybe run like 3D Max on it or something. But
yeah, there you go.
Of course, I could do that on my PC side too. I'll figure out something. Maybe I'll just sell them. I don't know. But so yeah.
If anyone's looking to purchase a small render farm,
yeah. Well, again, that's the thing about Octane is, somebody asked last week.
You could use them as like V-Ray render machines if you ever get into V-Ray,
Yeah, and somebody last week actually asked me. They were like, "Well, I want to build a whole thing," and I'm like a whole render farm, and I want to do this. Like, what kind of rack-mounted computers would you suggest? And I'm like, if you're gonna spend all of that money, why don't you just spend less money and go with Octane?
Yeah,
like you're gonna spend all
the thing is like some companies just don't want to use Octane. They would rather just use the standard Cinema 4D renderer. There's people who just don't want to learn another render engine.
Well, that's true.
Rather stick with what they know, and
I
was like that too. I was actually really hesitant even moving up from R15 to R16 because the reflectance channel was so different, And
I was definitely that way.
Yeah, so I was really scared to do that, and I stuck with R15 up until I got my new job, and I kind of had to learn it, you know? But then, and I was really nervous about learning V-Ray, and I was really nervous about learning Octane. You know, I convinced my work to buy Octane before I even knew it, really. You know, just because of all the stuff that you had been saying about it and the images that I'd seen from it. Some people just don't want to do it, you know? So if you're going to buy a render farm, what would your suggestion be, you know?
Well, my suggestion would be to go with stuff that is very much, it's all about CPU, right? So like in this case, I found quad core
i7s.
i7s. But like the video card, the RAM, all of that stuff isn't really a big deal, because if they're just kind of dumb boxes, I mean, really all you got to do is just use it for the CPU. So just get it to where it's good enough. I think RAM is a little bit important when it comes to doing the actual render, but it doesn't have to be crazy loaded with RAM.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I mean, when I told that one guy last week about Octane, he actually seemed pretty interested in it. Because I was like, you know, that's a lot of money that you're talking about there, right?
Yeah, totally.
So that's really the big thing. And, you know, I don't think they had a problem with spending the money, but it was like, okay, well, you want to get like some good firepower, so you can do something, instead of taking a day to render, you can do it in a couple hours. So your choices in that case are to spend a lot of money on these i7s, because each i7 box is probably going to cost you, I don't know, maybe $300. And if you want a really good bank of them to get that kind of speed, you're probably going to want to buy like 20 of them, right?
Yeah, totally.
So it's going to cost you $6,000, and it's going to cost you a whole bunch of money in electricity.
Yeah, for sure.
And Windows licenses and all that other garbage that you got to do. Like, or you could like just get one decked out PC for $3,000 and have none of that extra crap to deal with. And also, you know, the fact that you got to go into each one and make sure they're running optimally, and each one isn't getting viruses. And
every single time there's a new release and you update your computer, you've got to go through and update every single one of them.
That's the worst.
Yeah, it totally is. That keeps people from wanting to do it. You know, it would be cool if Maxon created like a, you know, like an update all type thing, you know, where you could connect to all your computers on TeamViewer and then, you know, see that they're not running and just hit a button and update them all. I don't know how easy that would be, you know?
Yeah, that was the biggest problem I had. Like, I had to put TeamViewer on each one of them back when we were working with these. It
was like 16 different PCs.
Yeah, it was 20.
Was it 20
of them? Yeah, and it had like, you know, all this maintenance you had to constantly do on it, and it was like, you know, why go through all of that? Like, I get the whole, you know, not wanting to go to Octane because it's different type thing, but that aside, there is no reason not to do that, or any GPU renderer for that matter. Like, if you're going to go with some sort of new move on something like that to really step up your game, why not switch to GPU?
Yeah.
Why not switch to, you know, what's that free one that's out there? Fuzzy something or other?
Fuzzy
Box? Fuzzy something?
Ball?
Fuzzy Ball GPU render? That's a free one. Or maybe Arnold or one of these other ones, or even V-Ray when it comes out with GPU rendering. Like, why not go to that?
Right.
Rather than go through all this other rigmarole. Anyway.
Yeah.
But that also leads to the Mac Pro question that came up this week. Somebody, again, you know, got on the tutorial that we did that had to do with building the Octane monster.
Yeah, I really think we need to redo that one. Like,
yeah, we need another update.
Yeah, we need to do it specifically, like, starting from scratch, like, full on from beginning to end, because you know, when I was doing mine, I had to call you a couple of times just because like, you know, I'd listen and then I'd pay attention, but like, I don't know, I feel like if we just did it in front of like a white wall or something like that and just rebuilt it, I don't know, that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to do that, because then we can show how we did the SSD and everything else, and now the fact that, we're using one power supply instead of two, and we can make it look a lot prettier and neater and tidier.
Yeah, dude, mine looks clean. That's my favorite thing. Like, that was the one thing about building my Monster Mac, is that I wanted to make it look clean. And that's I'm very happy with the way it turned out.
And mine's pretty clean, just the way I have my system set up in my office right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I do have two power supplies instead of the one, but you know, it is very clean looking. And same thing when we built Lance's version. His is exactly the same as yours.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that was the main question that came up, though. Why not go with a PC instead? And honestly, it's just about OS preference.
Yeah, it really is. You know, and I work at home. I work on a Mac. At my job, I work on a PC. You know, and I really don't have a problem with either of them. It's the PC side is nice, you know, it's got its advantages, but I'm so used to my Mac world, you know, that I know how to do everything in a Mac world.
And all the shortcuts.
And all the shortcuts, and like just using command, you know, I'm so used to that, even though I know you can reroute the thing like you do.
Yeah, I do reroute my keys. But it's really... It's about getting around. It's about the ecosystem that you're invested in with all your other programs. And, you know, if you're going to be sitting in front of something all day, you don't want to have to go back to something else, like for your calendar and email and you know, all the other things that you like that you're used to. But that was my dilemma too. And this person on YouTube, I told him that was my dilemma too, right? Like I was kind of stuck in a place where I didn't want to go to PC, but I was about to have to do it.
Yeah.
And once this came along, it changed that.
Yeah, when I bought my Monster Mac or whatever, I was set on buying a PC, and you said, no, do it this way.
Right.
So, all right.
And it runs great. And the thing, too, is, like I said, I've been multitasking like crazy within all these different programs. You know, some stuff running GPU, some stuff running CPU, After Effects, all the stuff running at the same time. But having the SSD, having the you know, all the memory I put in there, having these graphics cards, all of that, man, it feels just like it's a Mac Pro trash can. Yeah. Because I had one of those where I was working before, the $10,000 you know, crazy one, and this feels exactly the same.
Yeah. It's funny. Like my machine I have at home is the fastest machine I have ever worked on, and but it's not the top of the line one that I've ever worked on. You know, like I've worked on 12-core machines before that are maxed out RAM and stuff, but this one, like, it feels so much faster because it's working on an SSD and because it's got those really nice GPUs. And my computer only has 16 gigs of RAM. You know, it's not 32, it's not 64. You know, it's just 16 gigs. And it runs fine. I don't have any problem with it.
And what I told this person, and what, you know, I'll tell anybody else that's listening, if that's the route that you want to go with it, I will be more than happy to help in any way with the process of installation. Because, you know, they said, well, you know, I don't know if I can really, you know, hack it like that. It seems like a lot of work, and I'd rather build a PC. I'm like, if you're going to build a PC, then you're literally doing more, like, quote unquote hacking of things than if you were just to install these cards.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to if you know how to build a PC yourself, then you will have no problem doing this. So if you are really comfortable with the Mac platform, you are not going to be you will not regret doing this instead, because I don't know what Apple's plan is in the next 5 years or so.
Yeah, I don't know
but
either.
I can tell you that this machine will definitely carry me through the next 5 years. It already has lasted me 4 or 5 years. So, I mean, this is a 10-year machine right here.
Yeah, totally. Mine's a 2009. It's almost 2016. And this thing is the fastest thing. I mean, it's faster than any computer that I've worked on.
And a lot of that, too, is because it's got a lot of GPU power. And the only time, let's face it, like, I don't know if you use, you know, the GPU monitoring software or anything like I do.
I don't.
I use the iStat menus program.
Yeah, I used to. I used to run that on my old computer, but I just felt like it was it was too distracting. You know, it was like I almost didn't want to know what was going on with my computer.
Well, I came to the point where I heavily relied on that, especially for memory when it came to After Effects. But now the way that the newer versions of OS X work, and that combined with having more RAM, like that hasn't been as much of a problem. Like you remember, you and I used to purge our RAM a lot.
Yeah, with the lemon grab.
we made a custom lemon grab thing that would purge RAM. And it would do the lemon grab sound from Adventure Time when you do
Unacceptable!
it. No, it was the ooh. It was the ooh. You know.
Was it? Oh, yeah, it was.
The thing.
That's funny.
So it would do that little purge, and then we'd have, it would clear our RAM. Because even doing
what was really funny was,
RAM,
being sitting in your office and then hear the... coming from someone else's office.
But the thing is, like the way that RAM worked before was that inactive RAM or whatever it is would just like stick in there and it wouldn't let go of it sometimes. And it's a lot better now because the RAM handling is way different now. Sometimes you still have to do it. And instead of purge in terminal, you type sudo purge.
Yeah.
But if you cannot get rid of that RAM, it's quicker than restarting. You can do that. But again, to circle back around, like memory, that was a thing with iStat menus. Now, also CPU, CPU monitoring, checking my threads, making sure threads on other machines were working correctly over the network when I was trying to do team render. Like that's what I use that for, right? Now I use it for the cards and stuff too, but the thing is, the only time that you would ever really see the CPUs on every single thread being decked out, so like 8-core Mac, 16 threads, so you'd see all the threads like running at 100%. The only time you would ever see that is when you were rendering in Cinema.
Yep.
Because that program is designed in such a way to where it utilizes like all those CPU cycles, right? So now we're to a point where you and I are using efficient software on an efficient OS that utilizes not a lot of RAM, relatively, and not a lot of CPU anymore because it's using a lot of GPU. All the stuff that we're editing is like playing back on the video card. It's the viewports in the video card and the renderings in the video card. So you have this older computer, and the reason it's working is because the video cards are upgraded and taking the blunt of the whole thing. So
yeah, and and it's really like you can't upgrade your processor. I think very easily at all on a Mac. Is that true? Like if at all, I don't think
the only one you can do that on is the very last version of the older Mac Pro Tower before the trash can. That was an 8-core. I think you could upgrade it to. Wait, what was the highest? 12-core.
12-core.
There was a 10 that you could upgrade to a 12 by switching CPUs, but it was really expensive. It was very dangerous to do. You could send it somewhere. You might as well just go buy a different system. Like
totally.
Just
like upgrading the GPU was really easy. And it's nice because, like, if you've got these older machines and you want to do something, you want to be able to handle stuff with it. I mean, this is the way to go. Why buy a new system? Why buy a $10,000 machine when you can upgrade your system like this and then it'd be faster than any of the ones that you're going to buy?
Yeah.
I know.
Exactly. So
or buy a PC.
So the other thing that I was working on this week, which you know a little bit about, I've been sending you some updates.
Yeah.
Is the plugin that I decided to start building for Cinema. This is a lighting plugin. This is a light kit plugin for Octane specifically.
And we may, I've talked about converting it over to V-Ray as well, but that's it's just talk right now. But I will tell you from the stuff that like Dave has sent me, this is going to be awesome. Like this is going to be my go-to plugin.
I'm excited about it. There's a lot of stuff that every time I do a new Octane file, right? Like there's stuff that I always do every single time. And there's some stuff that I feel is missing. And a lot of it is because you just can't have some of this stuff by default in Cinema for the Octane plugin because really it's just the nature of the plugin of the core render engine of Octane itself.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is kind of like the missing pieces. One of the there's going to be
I think an easy way to say it is it's going to help people who one are already using Octane, be able to create some cool things or be able to use some Cinema 4D like features. And I think also it's going to help people who are, used to the standard renderer and standard way of doing things, help transition over to Octane so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the biggest thing. So this plugin is going to be called Luminous. It's called Brograph Luminous. And all the stuff that we're developing that is for Octane is going to have the little tag Octane Booster on it. So it's like, when you put Octane Booster in your car, yeah.
I got it.
Okay, so it's going to be called Luminous, and I've been in like Espresso Zen this week. Like I'm doing stuff and like sometimes I get in a mode where stuff just starts clicking and I just start understanding things. And I feel like that happens to me a lot. I don't know if you feel that same way, but like when you work with something for a while, you kind of sort of understand it, but then all of a sudden it really starts to click and then you feel like it's really starting to make sense. I feel like I kind of go through steps when I'm learning things like that, where it's really hard, and then all of a sudden I kind of break through the ceiling. And so, like, I was really figuring out some cool stuff with Espresso.
I actually had an aha moment like that just like a week or two ago when I finally figured out the interior lighting like debacle that I've been going through with Octane lighting, and like my whole world changed from that point on.
So that's kind of what I was feeling like doing this Espresso stuff, and I ended up knocking out a portion of this plugin fairly quick.
Yeah, totally.
In about a day and a half, I built the one part of it, which is the spotlight part of the plugin. Now, the spotlight, there are no spotlights in Octane.
You have to use specifically IES lights anytime you want to do some sort of spotlight type thing.
Yeah, IES, or you have to really get specific. And the other thing is, even if you do develop some sort of light that works like a spotlight, you don't have the cone in the viewport.
Correct.
Right? And you don't have like the middle part and the fall off and all of that stuff. I've developed this so you have a spotlight. You can control the cone. You start with a perfectly hard outline, and you can control the fall off on the whole thing.
It's very similar to the standard one, really.
Very similar. And actually, I'll open it up right now so I can talk through it. I'll talk about.
Sure, you want to do that? Giving away trade secrets.
Well, it's not trade secrets. If you get the plugin, you're gonna know this stuff.
Yeah.
This is just what's in it. All right, so let me go here. All right, so what you've got when you open it up, of course, you have light on and off, which that controls the visible in render, because if Espresso controls the enable on the actual tag, it crashes Octane for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe that'll change later. It also gives you immediately the option to use a black sky, because this is one of the things that I do when I start in Octane building something for the first time. If I want like a blank something or other with like a couple spotlights and I'm going to do 3-point lighting, I don't want that ambient light by default.
Right.
So I put in a black sky. So this gives you that option to put in the black sky. Now, if you use that, you got to keep in mind it's going to override your HDR sky.
Unless your HDR sky is on top of the plugin, above
it in the hierarchy, which is really weird how that works.
Well, that's just Octane. Octane chooses whichever. It's like a just like CSS, it chooses the first thing in there. So
right. So that's an option there. So you can turn that on immediately. Of course, it has target object. If you want to go that route, you can just drop it in and it targets it. You got the cone width and fall off that I talked about already before. You can see the cone in the viewport, which is something that you can't do with Octane out of the box. It's got a focus distance now, which is a visual aid only, because sometimes when you're shooting your cone and you want to go from like a left right view or a top view and kind of aim your light at something, it's hard to tell where it's aimed. So it has a focus distance to shoot it out in case it's not shooting out enough, but that doesn't affect the light, just the visual aid. It's got power, of course. And color temperature. Put the sample rate in there in case you want to mess with the sample rate. Something I have thought about in general is something that would allow you to control ratios on all your lights together at the same time, so you can see them all, but I don't know how I would go about that.
Actually, I'll talk to you about this after the show, but I had an idea for that would actually be something pretty good that you could do with this. Okay. Anyway, go ahead. Remind me of that.
Okay. Also, reflection visibility. Now, I've changed the name of that because it's called general visibility usually, but I'm gonna call that reflection visibility.
Cool.
Maybe I should put it back to general. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the general visibility, the light is still there, right? It's just...
I think it... Is it? Wait.
I'm pretty sure it's
not,
there.
I should put it back. I'll have to go back and look at that.
I'm pretty sure that's just like in only reflections and stuff like that. The light is still there.
I think that's
and it's
true.
Still casting shadows and everything. It's just, do you want to see it in reflections and...
Right.
Do you have camera visibility on there as well?
I actually have turned off camera visibility by default.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because the way that this works...
Right, because you see it anyway. Okay, gotcha.
Well, no, it's because camera visibility is about the actual light itself. And the way that I'm developing this, the object that the light is this big circular thing with this weird projection on it, and so you would never want to see that,
right,
because it would just interfere with everything and it just wouldn't work.
Gotcha.
Then of course I have use light color, and this is one thing that actually is way more convenient, because if you do use light color on your Octane lighting tag, then you have to go into the light itself, which is technically an area light, a Cinema 4D area light, and then you have to go to the general tab, and then you go in and change your color.
Correct.
This lets you
It uses the color of the actual light instead of through the Octane tag. It uses it through the Cinema 4D regular light.
Right. Instead of color temperature.
Right.
And the thing about that is it's a lot of steps to get to it, and so this is nice because you can say use light color, and immediately underneath you can pick the color. Yeah, and it works on 15, 16, 17. So like in 17, you can put in hex values, which is nice, and you could you can put it that way. Use your color mixer. Now, one of the things that I'm adding to this is gobos.
Yeah,
and there's going to be a ton of preset gobos. By default, it's set to none, but you can go in and sometimes you don't want pure light. You just want like either a noise or kind of like a window or something. I'm putting a tree in there by default. So you can have like a tree branch, which could be helpful sometimes if you're lighting something.
Yeah, totally.
And you turn that on, and then it also has a field for custom gobos where you can just click and you can load a gobo, and it can be any file you want, and then it gives you the option underneath for your matte type. It can either be a Luma or Alpha. So if you have a black and white image, you could use that, or if you want to just grab a file that you already have and pull the Alpha and use that Alpha for a gobo, it will do that as well.
What if someone were to throw like a color image in there with no Alpha? I haven't tried it.
You would do Luma. You would do Luma, and it should give you a color.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'll have to try that.
And then underneath, for when you do your own custom gobos, it does have sizable X and Y and position in case you need to adjust it, and as well as inversion to invert your gobo or tile or not tile it.
Cool.
So those are all the options right now.
It's super nice. It is super, super nice. Like, this is going to be one of my go-to lights.
I used it this week.
I did too.
I needed something. I just dropped it in there. I'm like, man, that was easy.
Yeah. That was easy.
That was easy. So it's technically right now it's on beta 1.
Beta 1.
And I'm working on alpha 2 this week.
We may need some beta testers. So if you're interested in trying out, the beta of it once we get it up and going, because we're gonna need people to test. Even though I've got a PC and Dave works on a Mac, like we may want 1 or 2 beta testers. So if you're working on Octane, and you're interested in becoming a beta tester for us, it will include a free copy once it's over. Once the beta is done, you'll get to keep that copy. Let us know. Shoot us an email. Brograph@gmail.com. Brograph, TUTS at Gmail.
And keep in mind, too, what I just described is just one aspect of the entire plugin.
Yeah.
That is strictly just the Spotlight part of it. I've got HDR stuff and all this other stuff that I'm going to put in there as well. So
yeah. And, this, in my opinion, is worth it. Is going to be worth it just as it is. Like, when he started... Dave sent me a video or something. I was like, I don't know what this is. And then once it clicked, like what it was, I was completely taken aback that it was that's the Spotlight is awesome because working with IES lights, it's cool, but you don't get that, I'm so used to the way Spotlights work in Cinema 4D, that like I wanted that ability, and this is what he did. It's great.
Well, good. I'm glad that you like it. Hopefully everybody else likes it, and I think it's going to be successful. I think people are really going to like it. Even people, I mean, like me, like I know how to use all of this stuff in Octane, but like I'm just tired of setting it up all the time. Even like the quick presets that I'm going to put in, like quick HDRs. There's going to be 3 different options, which is indoor, outdoor, or studio.
Yeah.
And when I'm building something like a model, I don't really care what it looks like, but I just need an environment to build it in. And sometimes I want it to look like it's indoor. Sometimes I want it to look like it's outdoor. Sometimes I want it to look like it's in a studio. So every time it's like, okay, got to go to the thing, got to go to the window and do an Octane HDR, load the HDR, put that in there, click on it, click on the image texture, then go into my Cinema 4D library, type in HDR, do a search, go through there, find the one I want to use, drop it into the file name, and then I have my HDR. And I constantly am doing that all the time, and have a button where I could just load that preset would be awesome.
Totally. I'm all about buttons.
Yeah, so did a new tutorial this week about displacement. I don't know if you got a chance to look at that or not.
I haven't watched it yet. I was actually technically on vacation last week. Like from Tuesday on, I sat around and I watched movies all week. Like
Nice.
got my Plex up and working. I got Star Wars on Blu-ray. Oh man, dude, I will tell you here to go off on a tangent. The first Star Wars movie, like Episode 4. So good. So good. And I always knew it was good, and it's an excellent movie. And I started watching Episode 2, the Clone Wars or whatever, and it's just there's so much going on, and I think this is the problem that they had in the first 3 movies, Episode 1, 2, and 3. There was there's so much story to follow, versus like the other 3, the 4, 5, and 6 are just like, it's straight, it's to the point, and like I think there were like a total of maybe 5 locations.
Yeah.
Technically, there were scenes throughout it, but there was maybe 5 locations in A New Hope.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. So like, I just feel like I was kind of pissed watching it last night, you know? And I'm like, why did he do this? He just totally screwed it up. So I'm really hoping oh man, so like I'm watching it and I see this horrible CG that he added in there in the, you know, the re-release that he did.
Of
like
which episode? 4?
Of episode 4, A New Hope, you know? And so he added like these, like the whole scene with Jabba the Hutt, you know?
Yeah.
Where like, I mean, it's an obviously fake Jabba, you know? And
Right.
like episode 2 with like Yoda looks so crappy. And here's the
Yeah.
thing, like, oh man. So the number one thing that I absolutely hated about watching episode 2 over again is everything is in focus. Absolutely everything is in focus at all time. Like, you know, they shot it on a green screen, but like everything is in focus.
Yeah.
And I had a hard time. I've never seen 300. I've never seen Sin City. All these ones that are entirely green screen shots,
Right.
because I get really claustrophobic watching them. As weird as that sounds, like I get super claustrophobic watching these movies that I know are fully green screen.
That makes sense.
And
I never thought
think-
about it, but that makes complete
I
sense.
think the reason is because it just feels weird to me because everything is in focus and everything is so clean or whatever. It doesn't feel like real life. And
Yeah, that
my
makes
brain,
sense.
I think my brain has a hard time comprehending the fakeness of it all versus it's telling me, you know, the people look real and stuff and everything looks real, but it just doesn't feel right. And I'd start getting like a panic attack watching these movies. It's so
Yeah.
stupid.
That's funny.
Yeah. But anyway, that's how I watch movies.
Yeah, I bought the pack on iTunes, like $100 for all the movies. Started watching it with my daughter, and
You know, and they just need to release I don't know if they did or not, like with the original Blu-ray stuff, because yeah, I've got the digital downloads of it, but like, you know, I just want the original version. Just give me the original version. I don't care about this new stuff. It takes away from it all.
no,
you
they
know?
don't have that. Somebody online, there's a torrent or something that I heard of that is like where people have pieced together all these different things to make it as like the best version of Star Wars possible.
Yeah.
Like without all the extra garbage and everything. So
It's I'm really worried about the new one. Like, I'm really worried. Like, J.J. Abrams, he's good. But J.J. Abrams he's good. He's good at his craft. He adds way too much lens flare to anything.
Right.
You know, but I feel like I worry because when Star Trek with, you know, Khan with Blunderbuilt Cumbly Britches, you know,
Truns. Yeah.
when, you know, he was playing Khan, J.J. Abrams didn't want to tell anyone that he was playing Khan, and he kind of kept this a whole big secret and stuff like that. And like, we kind of knew that this is what was happening, but like he didn't want to admit it. And then once the scene came, you know, you and I went and saw this together. Once
We did.
oh, I know it's Benedict Cumberbatch. Once the scene came where he's like, I'm Khan, we're like, well, duh. No, duh. I was waiting for something else. I knew Khan was going to be in it. Why would you play with my emotions like that, JJ? You know? But anyway, so I'm really worried that he's going to screw up he can't screw it up anymore.
He did
then
a good job. Yeah, that's true. But
Yeah.
he did a good job with Star Trek. I think it'll be the same with Star Wars.
He did. he did do a good job. But the same thing with that. I kind of felt like I don't like all the lens flare, you know?
Well, he didn't do all that lens flare in part 2.
But he
Star
did.
Trek.
He did quite a bit. Yeah,
I don't
totally.
think he did quite as
Like
much.
when you're on the bridge, I don't even know what the bridge looks like because there's so much lens flare.
Yeah.
Like I can tell you what the Enterprise bridge looks like, both the original and, you know, Next Generation. I can tell you what the Voyager bridge looks like. I can tell you what Deep Space Nine bridge looks like. You know, but
Some of that is.
I cannot tell you what the movie bridge looks like.
Some of that is the lens size, though.
Yeah.
Some of that is
Anyway.
focal length. Like,
Anyway,
they're very.
okay. So, for example, have you seen Super 8?
Yes, I have.
I thought Super 8 was great. I thought it was a good movie. Like, it was a great story, and it was his homage to the Goonies.
E.T.
Yeah, to
well,
E.T. and the Goonies. You know, it was his homage to Steven Spielberg or whatever.
Well,
you know?
that's the thing. It was very much like 80s Steven Spielberg style.
Yes, and I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. Like,
he even had like the kid bashing the doll on the table, like he did in Close Encounters.
Yeah. And
good.
so, like, but there's this one scene where they're in a cave and there's lens flare. And it's like, I was like, you're in a cave and there's lens flare? Where in the world is the light coming from? There needs to be light in order for there to be lens flare.
Right. Yeah. I didn't really notice that. I noticed in Star Trek. I didn't notice it much in there, but now that you mention it, yeah.
So I don't know, like, you know what's funny? Like, so I was on Video Copilot the other day, and Andrew Kramer is actually working for Bad Robot. So, like,
well, yeah, one of his lens flares is called
JJ
or something.
Well, it's so funny. It's like, I wonder if, like, I mean, it's got to be all those lens flares that he's using in the lens flare pack or whatever. He's got to be using those in those movies.
Probably.
It's funny.
Well, actually, you know what? It's funny that you brought this up, even. Because that was one of the things on my topic list.
Oh, was it?
Is lens flares.
All right, let's talk about it.
and how to use lens flares the right way, because I use them all the time.
Yeah, see, anytime someone says to me, I want it to look like polished and blah blah blah, I'm like, okay, so do you want a lens flare on there or what? Like, well,
first of all, it's funny because lens flares are something that happens when you don't have a matte box. It's a mistake, not a mistake, but it's something that happens when light hits the lens the wrong way, and it's now kind of become this thing where, like, people add it on purpose. It's like, what? Why are you doing that?
Yeah, my wife and I, we have a photographer who comes and takes pictures of our kid. We all the big seasons and stuff. So we just got his Christmas pictures taken, and she sent us back like a couple of pictures, and one of them, it's obviously fake that she shot. It's like, it looks like she shot in the sun and there's a lens flare coming off of it. And I'm like, well, that's weird. That's really cool that she was able to get that. And then I look at some other pictures that she shot. It's like, oh, that's just a filter. It's like the sun is in the exact same spot and the flare is coming down the exact same way.
Well, see, this all started originally because one of the first versions of Photoshop had like one lens flare, or maybe two lens flares, right? And you could put a lens flare in, but it was very rudimentary and it looked like garbage.
Yeah.
And one of my professors in college actually said, never use lens flares because you're just trying to cover up bad work with your lens flare, which I get that, and I've always been like that. But like, there are some instances where you're going to use it. Like, I'm working on a project right now, and this guy said specifically, I want this to be like bright and like particles and lens flares everywhere on purpose. I'm like, all right. So I'm doing all these different types or whatever. But when it comes to using lens flares on a normal basis, like, I would say there's a large majority of projects I do, like logos and stuff, right? That do have some sort of lens flare. But the lens flare isn't in the picture.
Right.
It's like the remnants of the flare hitting the picture.
See, if I have a lens flare at all, it's just the line going across, like the side of it, basically. I don't like having the whole, or if I do have the big light, the big bright light or whatever, I'll have it like way on the side.
Subtle.
Yeah,
like the spikes are hitting it, or like I always put it off camera, and then I take the secondary, like the center point, and move that, so you just get a little bit of that, like, that contour of the lens or something, and then it kind of goes away. But it's so subtle. I mean, it really adds a lot, and maybe it's just because I do a lot of logos for people.
Yeah,
that I use it more often. But I mean, it helps. I use it probably more than most people would care to admit.
Yeah.
but
Jeez.
you have to do it the right way. You can't just put a big ass thing right in the center.
Yeah. Send 3 Films. He's watching our Periscope right now. He said that using lens flare is like a must, or like they use it way a lot at his job.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny.
And that's the thing. Like, I mean, it is used. Like, I always think back to that professor who said, don't use lens flare. And I'm like, no, you're right. But I think it's kind of an exception now if you do it the right way.
Yeah, totally.
So
totally. Just don't put it on everything.
Yeah, don't put it on everything.
Yeah. Anyway.
So
that was my wow, I went off on like a crazy tangent about
right.
I'm glad
Star
that was
Wars
in your show notes.
it all was because I was talking about the new tutorial, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I watched a lot of movies this past week, and like, I saw this article. A friend of mine posted it, and she was talking about, it was based on photography, but I feel like it's the exact same way in like as a video person or as someone who does what we do. Because have you noticed that like you see editing mistakes a lot easier since you started doing video work, or you notice the stuff?
Don't get me started.
Well, it was funny. It was talking about like tracking someone's eye. An average person's eye whenever they're watching like a movie or a commercial or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then tracking, they were talking about photography, like an amateur photographer and like how many different places the eye would move. And then a professional photographer, it was like a ridiculous amount, like the amount of eye movement, like subtle eye movement coming from a professional who's watching something like that is like just ridiculous. And I totally agree with that, because like it's funny when I watch a movie, or like when I'm watching like a 3D animated movie or something, like yesterday I was watching Inside Out, and I'm literally standing, like, I've got a 60-inch TV that I can enjoy the movie from, I've got a big living room. So like when I sit down, I can see a fine picture, but I like actually getting up like maybe a foot or two away from my TV and actually looking at what they're doing. Just because I like analyzing the picture that I'm watching.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I tend to see continuity errors really well, like, and it bugs the ever living crap out of me. Like, and of course my wife is like, she hears me just going on and on about it. She's like, what? Because we'll be watching. I'm like, oh my God. And she's like, what are you talking about? But like, it's bad. Like, there's some that, like, I mean, continuity is a thing. You want to take pride in continuity, right?
Yeah, totally.
And like, it bugs the crap out of me when I can't get continuity right in something I'm editing. But then I watch all these professional things on TV where the continuity is just garbage.
Yeah, totally.
In particular, New Girl. The show New Girl. It is the worst about continuity. That's funny. You watch that show, it is absolutely hideous. And I believe, and I don't understand why this is, I wish somebody could explain this to me, but it seems to me that they maybe don't ad-lib, but they kind of do a bunch of different takes with one camera from a bunch of different angles. They don't have multiple cameras, so they'll shoot a whole scene, and then they'll shoot the whole scene again from another angle. Maybe it has to do with where they're shooting it or whatever. They can't put the camera in the right place. Like maybe, I mean, it's not a studio, it's an actual apartment. So like, maybe that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
But they do all these takes, and so they'll be there's a couple different things. Number one is that they'll have a shot of somebody, and then they'll immediately cut to the other shot, and somebody's arm or face or something will be in a completely different position. I'm talking way different. Like somebody lifts their arm to drink something, and they flip to the other shot, and the cup is on the counter, and their arm is down.
Yeah.
Like that bad, right? And then the other thing that they do is constantly they do this, and they do it sometimes on I think I've even caught it on Modern Family and a couple other shows, is that they will do the over-the-shoulder shot of somebody talking, and it is obvious that is not what they're saying.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they
yeah,
did
yeah.
like
I
one
totally know
shot,
that.
and they didn't have the over the shoulder of him saying the same thing, but they wanted to cut away. But then they're saying something completely different.
Yeah.
Or even it will be like a wide shot of someone like sitting on a couch or something for a split second, and what they're saying is not at all what their mouth is moving to. It's like it is so bad, it just bugs the crap out of me. And I'm like, man, what happened to good continuity? What happened to like taking pride in doing that? Do they not have a continuity person? I mean, come on, New Girl's got to be making tons of money. Why is this so difficult?
Yeah, my wife pointed out something the other day. We were watching Teen Beach Movie 2. And I was really impressed with her because she caught this like major crazy continuity error where they had one of the actresses behind one of the person speaking, and then it cuts to the next person, and then they're behind the other person. I was like, what? You totally broke the 180-degree rule right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so funny. And then we were watching Scrubs the other day, and I saw boom mics. Oh, man, that made me laugh.
I remember seeing more of that when I was a kid, and I think that it's because, like, nowadays with everything that goes on the web and everything, there is no safe area. Right. But back in the day, they used to bank on the fact that there was a safe area.
Yeah. Well, also, Avid
and film transfers too.
Avid nowadays, even like 5 or 6 years ago, they have this little thing where basically you can swipe around an area, like if you get a boom mic in the shot, and it's almost like a content aware fill.
That's cool.
Yeah. And Amy's watching the Periscope. She wants to point out that 90210 and what is it? Saved by the Bell are the worst at that. Like the boom mic is just ridiculous in those.
And it was mostly because of the reliance on safe area. It used to be that like any TV is going to have like X amount of I guess like an inch cut off, right? Like, no doubt it'll be that way, and there's no way you would ever see on any TV, what's up there, and it was only when, stuff started going to the web that you really had to start watching that, because, of course, you don't have a safe area there, and then, when HD and everything came out, I think the safe areas are very, very much, like, almost gone at this point.
Yeah.
Action safe areas.
Yeah, totally.
Even title safe. You can push your titles way more into the action safe now than you used to be able to.
Oh man, I was doing a video for Microsoft the other day, and they were having me edit an original video that they had already done, and like all their text was way outside title safe. It's like right on the border of like the end of the video. I was like, what are you guys doing? That's crazy.
Yeah, because like who's going to watch it on anything other than a web browser, or a phone, or, when are you going to watch it on a TV? And if you do, is it even going to have safe areas? So,
yeah. The boom mic was such a common occurrence in Saved by the Bell, they might as well just cast it as a character.
Yes.
Anyway,
so here's a discussion that we did not agree on this week.
What is that?
I thought it would be good to bring up is demo content when you're making your demo reel, paid work versus spec work. And I don't mean spec like you're doing it for somebody for free, but spec like you're just making things to make them.
Right. Like you're creating a fake McDonald's ad and, showing off some motion graphics, and it technically wasn't anything for McDonald's or whatever.
Right. Now, my take on it, and I've always said this, I've said it on the show, I've said it on tutorials before, I've said it online a million times. I don't think that there is any reason that you should make a McDonald's or Coca-Cola or AT&T logo if you're not getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
Unless you want to do it for practice, but don't put it on your reel.
And I will completely disagree with you. I had a job for about 8 months where I was videotaping, when it was actual videotape, videotaping actors and actresses who were up and coming who didn't have a demo reel, and we would just go out and we would fake these interviews. And and what it did was it showed their personality, showed how they act with people, showed how well they were good at improvising with people, and it was able to show who they were. And one of the first people that we did this for ended up becoming the one of the anchors on Good Morning Texas. Amy Vanderoff. She was our first client, and she took that demo reel and she gave it to the people, and that helped her get her job. And she was Good Morning Texas, anchor for
is she still
forever.
on? I thought she was still on there.
No, I think she's gone now. I think she retired. I don't know. So, but yeah, she got the job because of it. And all these actors and actresses got jobs specifically because they made up these fake demo reels.
I had a crush on her too.
I'll let her know. I've got her phone number. So, I've always been in the frame of mind that a demo reel doesn't necessarily show off the work that you have done necessarily, and the famous things that or the famous companies or whatever that you have worked for. It's to show off your personality and what you can do. And that's always the way I've seen it. It doesn't matter to me.
I agree with that.
Because here's the thing. You could go work for a very small post-production house that doesn't get big clients, right? They get Sammy's Sandwich Shop, and so you create this awesome, amazingly cool animation for Sammy's Sandwich Shop, and you put it on your reel. Okay.
Right.
Then you go to this big, massive, media conglomerate company, and they give you a Coca-Cola thing, but it's like really terrible, and like the client does it a certain way. So are you going to put that Coca-Cola one on there just to say that you put that you worked for Coca-Cola? No, and
see, that's my point. Like, I'm not going to. Okay, I look at this, I guess, from the perspective of a hiring person, right?
As do I.
I am the employer, and somebody brings me a reel, and it's McDonald's, Coca-Cola, AT&T, and it's I don't know, Verizon. It's got of course, the obligatory cell phone with something on it, which everybody
don't
has
say that. I'm going to put that on my reel.
That everybody has, right? But you watch it and you see all of that stuff. It's like, oh, look how great all this stuff is that I did for all of these awesome companies that they paid me to do, and it's all and it's all set in time to attract from justice. And then you sit down with them and you're like, oh, so I see you did this thing here for AT&T. Oh, well, no, that was just a high school project.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, okay, I see you did this thing for Verizon. You did these phones. Was that in a phone commercial? No, I just kind of did. I kind of made that for fun one day.
Yeah, but to completely to argue my point,
Well, hold on. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's like you're trying to do that to impress me. You're trying to name drop companies to impress me.
And you know what?
I don't care about that. I would rather see a really good Sammy's Sandwich Shop logo.
If you don't care about that, then you shouldn't even be asking the question, in my opinion. If the animation is really, really awesome, it shouldn't matter who the client is, whether it's spec work, whether it's work that you just did for fun and you put on your reel, because I've got some stuff on my reel that I did just for fun, and I don't think there's.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine
as
with
a
that.
hiring
I
manager,
feel like
as
I'm
myself,
being deceived. I feel like someone's trying to deceive me and make it look like they have all these big clients. It's not even about the work itself, but about their clients. To say, look at all these big clients that I work with. Well, no, you don't. Maybe you're not actually so good with clients.
So you're saying you would rather them make up a completely like fake company to do the exact same super cool logo.
Absolutely.
You know? That's
you know
so
why?
dumb.
No, but you know why? Because like you said, it is about the work. It totally is about the work. That's why I don't care who it is. The only reason I care who it is
as
because
a hiring manager, as someone hiring, you should be able to see past the fancy logos and stuff and look at the work that they're actually producing.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I will see past that. The thing is that when somebody tries to pass off Burger King, McDonald's, Subway, Coca-Cola, AT&T, Verizon, and Android phones as actual clients, I feel like I'm being deceived. Not in the work area, not in the can I design something to make it look good area, but like how what is my clout with other companies, like and how I work with other companies. Like if I'm hiring somebody and I'm looking for somebody, yeah, who has a good reel, but I'm looking for somebody too who actually is good at other things, like the way that they organize their workflow. And I'm looking at people who are really good at working with clients, right?
Yeah,
and those
but you're
people,
not
I'm
going to be able
like,
to find that just in an interview. You don't really hash that stuff out until you get like either a couple interviews in or you even hire the person.
Yeah,
you know?
But if somebody came to me and they said they worked for AT&T and they worked for Microsoft and they worked with and they worked with Coca-Cola on this branding thing for a giant production, I would want to work with that person because I know that they can work with corporations, they can handle clients well, they are good at deadlines and stuff like that. They're delivering high quality products to big name companies and high level like executives, right? And marketing teams, and they're working with big PR departments, they're working with big marketing firms to do giant productions, right? Now, if somebody else delivers that stuff on their reel and they haven't worked with those people before, maybe they haven't worked with anybody. To me, that's saying, I worked with all these big names, and I'm and if you're putting that on there, it's like you're deceiving me, trying to say, I worked with all these big companies. Well, that's it. It's not about the work for me. It's about the fact that you're trying to pass off, like you've got some sort of clout with all these companies, like you really know what you're doing, but maybe you don't.
And what keeps them from, them interviewing, say, oh yeah, I totally did that as a, here's the thing. So, Already Been Chewed on their website, they've got this Justin Bieber, roast of Justin Bieber thing on there that is beautiful. I mean, it's a pretty piece of art, but that was all just, I think, spec work specifically for Comedy Central. But they've still got it on their website.
But they still worked with them.
Yeah, but still, okay.
We don't have anything on our site for Comedy Central that we just made up.
I have done work for Microsoft, I've done my work for Microsoft where they have wanted to redo parts of their video, or like, say, for example, they had a Lumia 900 or something, and they wanted to replace it with some other phone or something. I don't even know what the numbers are. I know nothing about Windows phones. But so like they would give us the model of it, and we would have to replace it, or do the exact same animation that they had. Would that be okay to put in my reel? It's from Microsoft. It has one of their phones in it, but I'm just basically redoing the exact same work. There's absolutely no like creativity involved in it.
You're still doing it for them, and you're still proving it's still you that did the work, and you're still proving that you can copy something exactly like you talked about last week. You copied that photo and you made it look so close to the original the client couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah, which was awesome.
Like that's a good quality in someone to have, being able to imitate something exactly, because a client almost always a client says, I want it to look like this. I really like this style of this thing. I want it to look just like this. And like you have to figure out how to, like, that's a really good thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
To emulate a style, or emulate, not steal, of course, but I would rather, but you did it well. B, you know how to copy a style. C, you actually worked with Microsoft. It's not like any of those are a lie.
Yeah, but still, like, I don't know. Like, me as a hiring man, I guess you and I just see hiring people differently. You know, sure, I want people who are going to be able to work with clients and stuff like that, but really, like, from a sales perspective, I'm not going to hire necessarily a 3D animator or whatever to go out and do my sales. I'm going to be talking with the clients. I'm going to be there, you know, and I'm going to relay the information to my person as far as what the client wants, you know. Unless,
sometimes, yeah.
Unless I, you know, get enough of a rapport with my editor, and I know I can trust him in order to handle the client relationship.
Which, see, the bigger a company gets, the more you want to rely on people to be able to do that.
Right, which is fine, you know, like. But in my opinion, I would hire a kid straight out of high school if his demo reel was awesome and I was able to, like, give him a logo, have him do a test, and see what he came back with. You know, that to me is the real true test. Whether or not he puts on, you know, McDonald's and Nike and, you know, American Airlines on his reel or not, that doesn't matter to me, because all I want to be able to see is, like, how fast he can work, how efficiently he can work, and how good of a job he can do.
That makes sense. That does make sense. But if you're going to advance in your career, you have to be able to relate to clients and talk to clients. If you are perfectly content with being a guy who sits in a chair and knocks out things for other people your entire life,
doing hair on arms,
right?
Right.
Or if you want to sit in a room and you don't want anyone to bug you, just tell me what to do and I'll do it and give me a paycheck.
And I know lots of people who are like that,
right?
You know, and some of those people are some of the best animators I have ever seen in my life.
Sure, but that's all
they're very introverted, they're very artistic, they're just like that, you know. And see, sometimes you're just looking to hire someone like that, and maybe they don't have the experience because, you know, they haven't worked that many jobs. Okay. So I am all about, like, doing fake logos, and, you know, I may be the only person who believes that this is okay.
Maybe that's the answer then. Maybe
I'm just wrong in the entire field.
I'm saying maybe that's the answer, that if you want to be the type of person who just wants a paycheck, and I don't say just wants a paycheck in a negative way, I'm saying if you are not the type of person who wants to deal with running your own business, if you're the type of person who wants to come in and be an animator and deal with your manager directly and not deal with the client, maybe that's okay, because you can prove that you can do anything that they ask you to do. But if you're going to try and move beyond that, if you want to be a manager, if you want to run your own company, if you want to be interacting with clients and kind of maybe be like a senior art director or something like that, you do need to be able to deal with people and clients, and yeah, but, like, you need to be able to prove that you can do that. And I think it's detrimental to say I worked with all these big companies if you haven't, and you're going for that kind of position.
But still, I think the majority of people who are putting fake logos and fake stuff on their reel are people who are just starting out. That's always been my frame of mind, is the people who are just starting out and don't have enough for a reel. Because what are you going to do then? If you have never had a client, what are you going to do? You're just going to create a whole bunch of stuff for yourself, and you're going to put it on a reel and say, this is what I can do.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be McDonald's.
It doesn't have to, but why does it hurt? It doesn't hurt. You know, you just come up front and say, listen, this is not work that I actually did for them. This is work that, you know, I was doing for fun. It's more to show off my talent, and to be able, and I used a recognizable brand in order to grab your attention, because it'll work. Too?
It's a downer in the conversation. It's a downer in the interview process when you have to backtrack and say, well, no, I actually didn't make that for McDonald's. And then the person's like, oh. Like, even though I get it, even though it looks awesome,
if you were calling the person in for an interview just because you think they did work for McDonald's, then, you know, maybe they're not, maybe you run your company bad. I don't know.
But you know what I'm saying though, when you bring it up and they're like, oh, that was just spec. Oh
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like,
Oh.
I will
you'll get an oh, like kind of
I have
break
done
in the-
work. I have done work for Samsung and I have done work for Microsoft. Both of them not the best jobs in the world, you know, as far as like the final product that came out or the amount of stuff that I did. But I sure as hell am going to put them on my reel because they've got big names, you know?
Of course.
But it's not necessarily great work. I'm going to put it on there because it's good. It's big names.
But
you
it's
know?
valid. And when you sit in an interview, someone will say, so you worked for Samsung? You'd be like, absolutely, I did.
Yeah, I know. But like some of the new kids who are just starting out, they don't have the experience. They don't have the chance to do that type of work. And so as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to create your first reel or something like that and you just want to put some stuff that you did yourself, do it. Just make it awesome.
Just do it.
Just do it. Thank you, Shia. I don't think you and I are ever going to come to an agreement on this.
No, probably not. But oh man, I forget what I was going to say, but
is it I admit defeat, Matt, you rule?
No.
Oh, okay. Because that's all I really want to hear.
No, it was not. I know what I was going to say is that my reel, for example, as well, has stuff on it that is from Diageo.
Mm-hmm.
There's pictures of Bailey's bottles and Smirnoff bottles and Captain Morgan bottles and all these things that were done for that company directly. And if somebody sat me down and they said, oh, so you worked with Diageo, I would say yes. And I'd be able to tell them I went up and did a presentation in front of the board, in front of these, you know, presidents and vice presidents of marketing in a small room and had to like state my case and convince them that we were the company to go with. That was a big deal.
Yeah,
and that's something that is like, if I were to have made those bottles spec, I wouldn't be able to say that. I'd be like, oh no, I was just messing around one day and I just made that Bailey's bottle for fun.
And you know what? When it comes to but still, even if no matter whether you had done that as spec or whether you had done that for the client, that the work was, if you went into an interview and even though you had done that as actual work, if you had said it was spec, it doesn't change. If it changes the way that they think about you, then maybe they're not the right company that you want to work for.
But don't you think that me being able to tell that story about how I
absolutely.
helped to bring in
and
this
you know what?
big client
I would freaking hire you in a
than...
heartbeat because that's really awesome. Being able to say that all comes with experience. But that doesn't change the fact that the work that you did was still really good, whether it was for a client or whether it was spec work.
I don't disagree with that part.
That's right.
And that's what I've been saying. But I still feel like that not being able to tell that story and have to admit that was just me screwing around on Thanksgiving weekend.
Okay, and what's gonna have what's so what if someone
it just is a downer in the conversation in the interview process? Oh no, not really. You know, it's just the same thing that comes up when someone puts something on their reel and it's like, oh, so you made all of this? Oh no, all I did on that was put the lights in the scene, or all I did was just texture that thing. Someone else animated it.
Yeah, but that's always going to be a part of the conversation.
I don't know, man. We're never gonna agree on it, but you know that is a good topic of discussion, and it's something that we would love to hear from everybody on. You know, whether email or however you want to get a hold of us, but. You know, let us know what your thoughts on that. And, you know, are you Team Dave or Team Matt? And let us know, what your take is on that, or maybe something that we didn't mention.
Yeah.
As far as a pro or con.
Oh, what I was going to say was like, there is always that conversation where you say, well, I did do this or I didn't do this. You're going to have that conversation, I think, in everything. And what I always tell people, at least with my last reel, when I was sending people my reel, I would be like, I did everything in there except for model the cars. Those cars I bought, And
I think with a demo too, you want to be able to say, I did all of this but this little thing, not... I didn't do any of this. I just did this little thing.
And
you know what I mean? Like,
why can't you say I did everything on here except for that McDonald's ad was not actual work for McDonald's? I mean,
you could say that.
You could say it's something that I really loved and I thought looked really good, so I put it on the reel. I wouldn't think differently if someone said that.
It's a negative in a pro cons list to me.
Nah.
It seems like
it doesn't change the fact that they did good work. If they did good, and here's the thing: if you're going to do that, make it look really good. You have to have it up to scale of what a company like that would expect. You know, you can't make it look bad. Anyway.
Well, it came up because we saw it in the Reddit thread. Somebody posted a demo, and there was a Microsoft thing on there.
Yeah, and you know what?
You and I started talking
I know,
about it.
and I thought that one looked awesome.
Yeah,
I was like,
the question
that is
was,
a great little bumper logo or whatever, you know?
And someone asked that question in the
even if
forums,
they didn't
right?
do it for Microsoft, I think that was a really creative way in order to bring in that particular logo, and you couldn't do it with any other logo.
Yeah, well.
Unless you change
Did they say if that was?
Oh, I have no idea. I didn't look.
I don't think we even know if that Microsoft thing was spec or not. But the topic did come up in the Reddit thread about it, though.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
IDK indeed.
Anyway.
So I saw an interesting video this week. Lester Banks posted this. It was also on Motionographer, and it's not graphics per se, but it was like stop animation, so it's kind of relevant. It was called Oh Willie.
Okay.
Did you see it?
No, I'm clicking on it right now.
It's so weird.
Jeez.
It's so weird. Like there is some like puppet nudity in it, but
nudity.
But it is the weirdest thing. Like I don't know how to describe it. Like this guy goes back to nature, and then this monster.
And is it 3D animated?
He suckles at the teat of the monster. I don't know. It's stop motion animation,
okay.
I believe.
Yeah, but it's not. So it's not 3D animation. It's just stop motion.
Just regular animation. Yeah, but I just happened upon it. It's it's on Motionographer, and Motionographer has some motion. I don't quite understand Motionographer.
Wow.
Like, I really get Behance, and I get motion graphics on Behance, and everything makes sense to me, and I see the stuff on there, I'm like, yeah, this stuff at the top, this is great motion graphics. And Motionographer is a very, very selective, curated thing. You know, like, they have maybe one post a week, right? And it's very artsy-fartsy, like, their standard is really hard to judge. You never know what they're going to pick as something for like there could be some really great, awesome, technically sweet looking video and they will never post it because it's not artsy fartsy enough, I guess. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Do you ever go to that site?
No, I don't.
Like everything on there is, it's like 50% stop motion animation and like hand drawn stuff. And
this is really pretty, I got to say.
Oh, yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, it's all like felt characters and stuff.
Right.
Like, that's weird.
And also in the videos area, and this is kind of along the lines of maybe something we'll talk about on here from time to time, which is like creative services, ad agency type stuff, right? Art direction also, and like, and maybe writing and scripting, that kind of thing. As it pertains to doing your craft or whatever. But there is an ad out right now for the United Emirates airline.
Oh, are you talking about the one with what's her name?
Yes,
Jennifer
Aniston.
Oh man, yeah.
Now tell me, if you haven't seen it, pause and just go watch it. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube real quick, and then come back. Okay, you're back. All right. So, is that not the most pretentious ass ad you've ever seen in your life?
Oh, absolutely. But
I don't know
here's
who
the
you're
thing.
advertising to.
Yeah. Because why would if okay, so you know the phrase, if you have to ask how much it is, you can't afford it.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of how I see this, only it's like,
Right.
why, if, how badly are they doing that they have to advertise, if they're able to afford, like, I mean, because a ticket on one of those air flights are going to be those air flights.
So expensive.
It's going to be so expensive. So why are they advertising on regular, television?
Daytime television.
To us middle class,
Right.
know nothings.
And it's like, oh my gosh, could you believe that there's not a shower? I mean, the whole thing is, if you haven't watched it, Jennifer Aniston is asking a person on a regular airline.
Mm-hmm.
She has her towel and all of her stuff and her toiletries. She's going to go take a shower in the plane, and she's asking where the shower is. And they're like, "We don't have a shower on this plane." She's like, "But I always shower when I'm on United Emirates or whatever they are."
Uh-huh.
Oh my god! I can't believe.
And then
guys.
she
so
Wizard of
poor.
Oz, wakes up from her nightmare.
Yeah.
And then she goes to the bartender and says, "Oh my gosh, I had the worst dream," or something like that.
I had a dream I was poor, like the people watching this commercial. I'm like, and at the end of it, you're like, what a pretentious bee she is for even doing this commercial.
Yeah.
And it's a pretentious commercial, and you're driving
they
away.
Had
like
to have paid her a ton of money to do that.
It's a commercial saying, "Hey, look at us. You're poor and you can't afford this airline."
Mm-hmm. Either that, or like she has the worst agent in the world who would tell her that is a good PR move.
Right. I mean, but again, coming back to the whole ad agency thing, like whose idea was it to make a commercial that tells everybody watching it that they cannot afford this airline that they're advertising?
Yeah.
You can't afford us.
Hey, we're talking about it right now.
We're talking about it, but it doesn't matter. Like, talking about it doesn't equal dollars.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like make a commercial that pretends we're way too expensive for everybody, ? Profit.
Right.
And like, I will never fly that airline.
Nope.
Because I probably don't have the money for it.
Right.
And so all I know is that there's this airline that's pretentious as hell. Like, what am I supposed to do? I don't. So, like, if you're in advertising, this is one of those things, like, you really have to think about your audience. And nobody thought about the audience in this case.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was funny. Even when we, when we were shooting our commercial, we shot this commercial, and, we made our whole scene look kind of clean and pretty. Mm-hmm. And the agency that we were working for came up and said, "Well, these aren't really the type of people that we were going for."
Right.
And we were using like glass plates and,
They were fake plastic
yeah,
glass
they were
plates.
fake plastic glass. And so then we switched over to like,
trees.
Red Solo cups and
yeah. Yeah, it was a good point,
and
though, because
cheese
we were
balls instead of, salads.
We were advertising a we were advertising a lease to own, not rent to own, lease to own type deal, and like the table setting was too nice for somebody who would be leasing a refrigerator.
Yeah.
So you got to think about that thing, that kind of thing when you're doing your work, whether you're at an agency or you're just independent or you're creative services or whatever you're doing. And I'm sure that pertains to animation as well, and anything else. So
yeah, I've actually run into that this past few weeks when I'm creating some of my interior scenes. Like, I really have to get in the frame of mind of the client that I'm working with, and look at some of their previous work, because some of their previous work, I'll be wanting to build this whole big scene, and a lot of their work is just this close-up stuff that is just, showing off. And like, say for example, I'm doing work for a, wallpaper or textile company, you're going to want to show off the wallpaper or textiles instead of creating a giant room scene from far away where you're not even able to see this stuff. You really want to be able to build a scene that focuses on this. So I kind of, me in particular, have had to be conscious of that type of thing. Think about the client that you're doing work for and what the major objective that they're trying to get across.
Yeah, we've done a lot of stuff with houses before, like outdoor, like exterior and interior of houses and stuff. And you then sometimes you have to step back and think, okay, wait a minute, what market is this for one? Do they have they don't have Adobe houses in Atlanta, that kind of thing. And then you have to think, I mean, because people probably wouldn't care, but there is a subconscious thing that goes on. Like, if you use a regular looking house with green grass and you air it in Arizona where they have Adobe houses and rocks in all of their front yards, like there's a subconscious thing that says, hey, this isn't custom for me. This isn't for me.
Right.
And same with interiors. This is too nice of an interior for this isn't what my house is. So this isn't a product that I would be interested in.
Yeah.
Subconsciously.
Yep. I will never fly United Emirates just because I can't afford it.
Because you are too
poor.
But
if I could, oh man, I'd be showering way up in that thing.
Take a shower.
Showering from 30,000 miles up.
Miles?
Yeah.
From halfway to the moon. Quarter of the way to the moon. Okay, so hey, there's two software topics that we have here. Number one is that today, well, it's tomorrow for us, is today if you're listening to the podcast on the day it comes out, X Particles 3.5 is coming out.
Oot. I don't use X Particles. I've never used X Particles. I hear it's amazing. I
want to use it more.
Yeah.
I have it. I bought it. I used it before, but I want to use it more, and I just haven't had the need. But if you go to their site right now, there's a countdown timer. That's all that's on their site.
That's cool.
So it's like 14 hours until X Particles.
What are the new features?
I don't know. It hasn't really said. I found a Vimeo link somewhere that was talking about a couple things. I think maybe brightness based on density or something. I don't remember what it was, but you know what? We're going to have all the details next week because we'll find out tomorrow.
Cool. That'll be a fun one to talk about.
I don't know what it would be. And I would like to do more with X Particles and Octane, honestly. That would be nice.
Yeah, totally.
And I'll be interested to see what happens with Octane 3. Man, I think using X Particles 3.5 with Octane 3 is just going to be phenomenal.
Yeah. I tweeted the other day that I was like, I don't think Octane is ever going to release, or Otoy is ever going to release Octane version 3.
Yeah.
And they tweeted back at me and they said, we have all of our stuff right here where you can find it. Hold on. Let me see the exact tweet. It was kind of funny.
Is this on your own account?
Yeah, this was on my own account.
That's funny.
Yeah. I said, oh, you're finally following me on Twitter, huh?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, you had an anonymous name. I didn't know.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
It said regular development updates on version 3 are posted here, And it's some forum and it's like, oh, okay, sweet. So I can finally look at this. Yeah, last update was October 30th.
Yeah, and it's just I've been in that forum.
Yeah.
It's a forum where everybody keeps asking when is it going to come out. So that doesn't help.
Anyways,
I don't get it, man. I don't get
grabs
it.
It's
supposed to be Q4. It's almost Q1 of the next year. So
yep. Whatevs. It's all because of
actually it's supposed to be Q3.
Yeah, I'm gonna blame Jon Stewart on this.
I think it is Jon Stewart's
So
just too starstruck. All right, let's talk about Top Coat.
Okay, let's talk about Top Coat.
Okay, can we preface this by saying we're not trying to bash other tutorial websites.
Here's the thing: every beginner in Cinema 4D, in my opinion, will start off with Grayscale.
Absolutely.
Grayscale Gorilla.
I did it.
They are, me too. I think they're an excellent website and a very great source for beginning Cinema 4D motion graphics people.
So we have some beginning stuff, we have some intermediate stuff, and we have some complicated stuff. And honestly, our tutorial site is not about doing things for like that look pretty in the sense of like just for fun. Like our site, what my goal has been every time I do a tutorial is about doing something that's going to teach you, the viewer, how to do something that is going to be super useful in your job, in your actual job, something you could use every day, something that's very, very, very practical. And that's one of the reasons why you don't see me doing a lot of like actual like polishing of things and like rendering, like I'll technically show how to do something, and then I won't sit there and render, like do textures and render it out and make it look pretty in the tutorial. That's not what it's about. And so when it comes to
Dave doesn't, I do.
Well, when it comes to stuff like Grayscale Gorilla, yeah, I did all of that and I learned a lot from it. And it's hard to talk about another site without it sounding like we're bashing for the fact of bashing or something. And I'm not bashing Topcoat, but Topcoat came out this week.
I was watching the live demonstration online.
Yeah. And what was everybody saying?
They were talking about Octane.
Right. Exactly. And we talked about this last week before it came out, when they said Topcoat is coming out, but they didn't say what it was. And I mean, we pretty much guessed exactly what it was going to be. Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing, like, and here's what I took from it. You know, Topcoat, it's a cool little application. It's a cool little so earlier when I said moving from R15 to R16 was kind of intimidating because the reflectance channel is really, it's really tough to wrap your head around, you know? If you haven't used like V-Ray or Octane or any other render engine, the reflectance channel was a little hard to figure out without some tutorials. And I actually, when Dave released his tutorial on reflectance, I specifically asked him to do it because I wasn't 100% sure what I was doing, you know? And so, because I actually wanted Dave to do a tutorial so that I could actually watch that tutorial. So, but what's great about Topcoat is that it allows people who are using R15 or R14 or even below that to be able to use the new reflectance channel and use it pretty easily. It's extremely, it seems extremely user friendly as far as creating, like, you know, really nice looking reflections and stuff like that. And that's great. That's totally great, you know? My opinion on it was the whole Topcoat thing is just espresso driven, like things, you know, that change the way an actual reflectance tab would work. And in my opinion, if I don't think you should use necessarily a plugin in order to create, you know, something. I think you should learn how to use it first before you start using these plugins.
Because you might say, well, Dave, you're developing a plugin right now that kind of does the same thing.
Right.
Well, the difference is you still have to know how all of these elements in Octane work to use my plugin.
Right.
Like, if you still don't know about visibility and reflection visibility, if you don't know about the different elements of all the lights and how they work and using light color and color temperature, you're going to have a bad time. You still have to know Octane to use my plugin. This is just kind of a time saver in steps. Like, it gets rid of all these steps that you would usually do, and also it's a visual aid for missing pieces. Like the fact that you can see a cone for your spotlight, that's something that Octane doesn't have. And so for like Topcoat, it not only the fact that, you know, the first thing I think of with Topcoat is like, wow, that looks really pretty, but I bet it takes 1,000,000 years to render because it's not Octane. Well, but the other thing is, like, you're not creating anything like additive. You're just with top coat. You're doing shortcuts to something that you hopefully should already know how to do. So.
Right. Which, you know, and if you already know how to do this stuff and you just want to be able to create some of these, you know, quick textures and stuff like that, and you're using the standard Cinema 4D renderer, great, awesome, that's cool. Use it. I mean, I'm all about, I'm cool with using plugins and stuff like that as long as you learn how to actually create this stuff, you know? Like, go through and actually learn the processes, learn why you want to do it a certain way, learn what a Fresnel is, you know, instead of just being able to just throw a Fresnel on there because Nick throws a Fresnel on there, you know? So, I don't know, like, I really, if you, I don't know. It's
I feel that way about lighting setups. I mean, I'm creating lighting setups in this plugin that I'm doing, right? Mm-hmm. But I feel like if you don't know about 3-point lighting, you don't deserve this plugin. And I'm serious about that, because the only reason I'm creating it is because you already know what a 3-point lighting setup is, and you just want to save time by plugging it in.
Yeah.
You know how to set it up yourself, but it's not for the person who is like, well, I just know it looks pretty if I use 3-point lighting. I don't know what 3-point lighting is, but it looks prettier than when I put 18 lights in my scene and wonder why it looks like crap.
Yeah.
Like, you really, really need to know what you're doing. Like, I would use top coat if I weren't using Octane, and I would use it as a time saver. But I would make sure that I knew everything about reflectance before I used top coat, because I only want it as a time saver and not as some sort of crutch, because I don't want to learn how to do it the right way. You need to know what you're controlling and why it's doing the things that it is, or else you know, you could be adding God knows how many minutes worth of render time to each one of your frames. And it's detrimental.
I mean, one of the cool things that he had was the ability to, you know, he includes some different render settings that will help speed up or slow down your render time, or, like, you know, do a preview one versus a full render one or something. And, you know, that's pretty cool. But, like, you know, then that's when the conversation got started in the chat about Octane. You know, it's like, why don't you guys just use Octane? It's nicer, it looks prettier, you know, it's faster. Yeah. And, you know,
everything good is all the reasons to use Octane.
Yeah. And, you know, Chris Schmidt said, we haven't used Octane, you know, and I don't know, like, don't limit yourself. It's a good plugin.
It's a different film for your camera.
It's a different film for your camera, you know. And it's so funny. I actually I told that story the other day when I was trying to explain to my boss what the difference between Octane and V-Ray and everything was. I used that analogy.
Nice. Did it help to explain?
Oh yeah, totally. Cool. You know, they were old enough to where they understood film.
But like take that into account. Let's say that you've used Kodak film your entire life, and Fuji comes out with something that is a faster film. So you can have a lower ISO. It looks absolutely incredible at a lower ISO. There's zero grain whatsoever, and it is freaking fantastic, right? Well, but then Kodak decides, instead of like making their film any better, that they're just gonna, like, I don't know, make like this other lens that costs a ridiculous amount of money and lets more light in just to get rid of some of that grain, and they're not going to bother updating the film in their camera. I don't know if that's a real good analogy or
here's
not.
A good one. You're using a film camera, and then someone gives you the option to use a digital camera where you can just automatically upload the stuff to your computer, you know, versus having to go and get the film developed first and then scan it in and then bring it into your computer. That's the way I see Octane in the standard renderer, you know?
Right. And it's like
having to actually, like, go through and develop everything versus having an instant view of what it is.
And you keep doing it every single day and spending all this time developing and going in your dark room. And then somebody says, well, why don't you just use a digital camera? And then you're like, well, yeah, I've heard of it, but I've never really used the digital camera, so I'm not going to bother checking that out. Oh, here's the obligatory digital camera conversation again that always comes up. Well, maybe you should look into it and at least, you know, check it out. Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I have been called the online. I have been called the poster boy for Octane.
Yeah, you're the Octane pusher.
And I'm fine with that, because honestly, like, if Nick doesn't want to go down that route, that's fine with me, because he has a lot more followers than we do, and if he went into Octane, all of a sudden he'd be the Octane guy. So you know what? I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. And I'm not bashing him. I'm not bashing what he does.
Yeah.
So many people learn from him, and he does a great job. And I learned
and
so
you know
much
what?
from
When
him
he
in
spoke
the
at
beginning.
NAB, you and I were front and center.
Yeah, we were. I just feel like that. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to appeal to.
I just feel like
I don't want to appeal to a certain audience. Like you get to choose your audience, right? And that's.
Yeah,
I feel like I want to. Here's the thing. I feel like I'm helping more people by giving them practical advice.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Like, if you were to put a bunch of shiny balls on your demo reel using Cinema 4D, we would know exactly what you were doing. Anytime you see a Cinema 4D grayscale Gorilla tutorial on a demo reel, which we've seen a lot.
Yeah.
You instantly know. I don't know.
You get labeled a novice.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But being able to take those skills that you learn from grayscale and move them onto something else, something bigger and better, that's take the skills and then do something else with them. Don't just copy and paste.
Like the pretty, the pretty stuff we were talking about. We don't do a lot of like pretty stuff. We've done some. But like, take your Coca-Cola, your Brograph cola bottle or whatever you did, right? That I checked today, 36,000 views or whatever it has.
Sweet.
And the thing about that is that that's the type of thing that you would see on a reel. For some reason, that's that demographic, and yeah, I guess it gets more hits. I guess that's cool, but you would see a bottle on a reel. And honestly, and I don't know if it comes from your tutorial or not, but I have seen people post bottles, cola bottles, just like that many, many times now.
Yeah.
And I often wonder if it's from your tutorial. And if I saw that on a demo reel, I'd be like, okay.
That's funny. Yeah, well, I like that one. It's in R15, and I would love to go back and do it again. Because we got some questions today about it, and it's just like I can't really answer the questions because they're
different.
Yeah, I would actually have to go through. Yeah, because I was using R15 when I originally did that, and then you've got people using R16, and they're wanting to know, what is what, and I'm like, I don't know. I would need to redo it.
I sent them something back. I'm like, well, specular is in reflectance now. They're like, well, I went to reflectance, but I don't see height. Oh, it's because you have to click on default specular, and then you have to edit the default specular. And yeah, these things do get outdated. Yeah, you should at least do like R17 update to go along with it. So you can just send people that link whenever they get confused.
Yeah, maybe I will. And, I've done it so many times now. Like, I have created bottles and bottles with condensation so many times. I could do it so much faster. Maybe I will.
Wish you would.
After my pillows. Got to do my pillows.
Yeah.
And my curtains. I was going to do it this week. What happened this week?
You get your whole... you watch too many movies. That's what the problem is.
No, I spent most of my time yesterday watching movies.
It's all right. I didn't get to part 2 of my displacer thing either. So.
Yeah. It's all right. That
should come this week. And a lot of the stuff I thought I was going to do live, I didn't end up doing live, but you should see some live stuff coming from some live modeling stuff coming from me this week. So
cool.
And again, we're talking about still kind of swimming with that idea of Cinema 4D Club, specifically in Dallas. Met a couple people from Dallas this week. Met somebody on the Reddit Cinema 4D from Dallas this week, so we might meet up, have lunch, and talk about some ideas for Cinema 4D Club. So
cool.
That should be fun.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah, and that's all I got.
Yeah, that's about all I got too.
Yeah.
So looking forward to a wonderful work week.
Me too.
Oh, we're still looking for people to, if you want to be our featured artist of the week, send us your demo reel. We'll look at it, and we can give you constructive criticism if you want, or we can just shut up and enjoy it.
Yeah, so let us know if you want the feedback or not, and we'll take the ones we like. We'll post them as the listener artist of the week. And please rate and subscribe on iTunes. If you're just listening to the audio file itself or something, we'd love to get the subscriptions. If you could rate, just leave a little message on iTunes or something. Tell us why you like the show or don't like the show, whatever.
And we still have the running thing that once we hit 5 reviews or the end of the year, then we're going to give out a free t-shirt. So
it's hard to get reviews, man. It's difficult, man. Even when I did the old podcast and we had a pretty high number of listeners, we didn't get any, write-ups. I guess people don't like doing that.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're not using iTunes either. That's the thing.
Well, shout out to the, 2 people who have. Send 3 Films, I think, is one of them. Shout out to him. He's been following all of our stuff. He's like, he's our bro. Totally. Yeah. Following the Periscope and, retweeting all of our tweets.
Yeah,
Straight
that's
up.
Cool.
He's our bro.
Is that the same guy as the guy who on the YouTube podcast every week is like, oh yeah,
I believe so, yes.
Okay. I don't know, maybe that's somebody else, I don't know. Also, speaking of which, subscribe to us on YouTube. We got quite a following there. That's where our biggest following is, actually.
Yeah, totally.
On the YouTube channel, Brograph Tutorials. You can buy a Brograph shirt. We'd love for you to do that because it supports us, as well as gives you an awesome t-shirt. And
man, I have worn my Brograph t-shirt so many times. It is so comfortable.
It is comfy. No Brograph, no Mograph. So check that out. We're also on Facebook. We post everything that we do on all the different pieces of social media, Facebook, Twitter. We're on Instagram. Sometimes we're trying to get into that. Periscope as well. Yeah. Add us on Periscope and, of course, YouTube and Brograph.com.
Yep. And if you want to send us an email, have a question or whatever, send us an email, brograftoots, TUTS, @gmail.com.
Still have to get that email address.
Yeah, that's all right. Maybe it'll just be a topic of conversation every single week.
Yeah. Every time we think about it is when we're saying it on the show. And then it goes away. I should write it down.
Need to add it to your, what is your thing that you use?
My OmniFocus.
OmniFocus, yeah.
OmniFocus. That'll be a good topic of discussion for another time, too, is using OmniFocus to be better productive.
Word. Yeah, I don't use it. So I'd like to hear about it.
I'll tell you all about it.
I use stickies on my Mac.
You know what?
Or notes on my phone.
Here's what we'll do. I will talk about it in some depth next episode.
Okay.
And
then I'll use it the next week.
You'll use it for a week.
Okay.
You do the trial of it, and then you really use it. You use the crap out of it, and use it for everything, and then come back. Maybe you need more than a week.
I introduced you to Trello this week.
Which is very similar.
Which I really like Trello. I like Trello a lot.
If you like that, then you will love OmniFocus because it basically is.
Well, can you share OmniFocus with other people?
That's the only thing that I don't think you can do, and maybe that will be in OmniFocus 3. Being able to share those tasks together, that would be just the icing on the cake. That would really be killer. So
yeah, I'll do that.
All right, and I think we're gonna have Lance on next week.
Yeah, we bought ourselves a new microphone, so we can have more special guests.
Yeah, we're gonna send the mic around to different people.
Yeah, totally. If you want to be a guest, let us know. We'll send you the mic.
I think we might have to know them well enough to know they'll return it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look for us online. We'll be talking to you on all the different various types of social media this week. And until next time, have a good one. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
Peace out.
Later, bros.
It's pretty good, I guess. Brograph.com, an online resource for learning critical components of Cinema 4D and After Effects, specifically catered to help you prevail as a motion graphic designer.
What's up, bros? Welcome to another Brograph motion graphics tutorial.
We give you professional time-saving tips, shortcuts, and lessons that help give you an edge over your fellow designers. Not only this, but our new Brograph Talks help you in your file management, hardware configuration, and client relations.
I love projects that scare me. When our art director comes to us and asks for something that I had never done before, man, it gets me pumped.
Join us for live sessions, check out our crazy Cinema 4D experiments, or just watch our Fun with Brograph series, where we show you practical applications for techniques learned in previous tutorials. Do this from the beginning, and your client is going to respect that, and they're going to respect you, and they're going to respect your time. Subscribe today and get automatic updates on the latest tutorials, tricks, tips, and inspiration brought to you by industry professionals Dave Koss and Matt Milstead, all with a slight dash of dry humor peppered in. Real nice banana.
Brograph.com, your source for tutorials that will help you thrive in the motion graphics industry. Don't just play around with Cinema 4D and After Effects, master it, and make money by becoming indispensable at your workplace.
We don't care how you get here, folks. Just get here. Subscribe now to Brograph Tutorials. It's pretty good, I guess.